here on Good Morning Lake Martin, about 29 past the hour here with Russell Wright and Brett Lechtenberg, also with Doug Roberts. Brett, your first book did really well, hit the bestsellers list in 3 different categories on Amazon. You had a follow-up right after that, which I thought was perfect timing, because one of the things in setting up some things myself, that I made some contact with some people. They were like, yes, we know about bullying programs in our schools and in our communities, but one of our biggest concerns is cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, funny you should say that, because this author has just followed up with his second book, which was just released a couple weeks ago or so.
A couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. And
what a soft digital release, right?
Yeah.
Well, it happened to be on cyberbullying. Tell us a little bit about how, while it's the same problem, it's a whole different ball game.
Well, I think you told me when I was first out, you were talking about that there was some dedicated, as you guys know from the first book, but it was such a bigger animal that you told me then it needed its own dedicated,
right?
It needs its own book.
Yeah.
And that is why I did it, because I think it is its own problem. And again, my philosophy is, can you read it in 90 minutes and then start to come up with a solution? And a lot of people our age didn't grow up with the computer, didn't grow up with smartphones, etc.
Sure.
So it's basically a step-by-step guide, like that one is, on how to deal with a cyberbully situation. It deals a lot with how to capture the information, get it concise, and then be able to take that information and then report the problem.
To the correct authorities, by the way, right? It's not only school-based. Some people forget about that this is something that's outside of school parameters, generally speaking.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I addressed that in there because I've got several friends who are teachers, and one of their frustrations was, as I was talking to them, is parents come to us, they're upset about the problem, they know there's an issue, and they're rightfully upset, and they want us to deal with it at the school when none of it is happening at the school. And what
it's all happening in cyberspace.
That's right.
It's happening at non-school hours.
Correct.
That kind of thing. And so parents are still like, well, that kid is in that same school with my kid, and so it's got to be the school's problem, and they need to help me. Whoa, let's back up. If it's not happening at school, why are you going to dump it on the teacher and the principal, etc., to help you? Now, I agree, they should be read in on the problem.
Sure.
They should understand what's going on, but that's not really their responsibility.
Yeah,
so let's be fair
it bleeds over, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. They're there as a resource and to help. They're not your problem solver.
Yeah.
Right, not for this. And so in there, I put a pretty in-depth form that's very similar to if we're helping us, like a woman who's being stalked, right? You know.
Sure.
And so it's a very similar type situation where we give them a little bit different tools on how to gather, on what to gather, and how to put it into place. And
Make
so
the case.
Basically you're kind of building a case, if you will. Don't necessarily think that people need to run to the police department right off the bat. But there again, they're a resource, and the police department, same thing. You just go into the police department and you're just venomous and upset. How are they going to help you either?
Yeah. And I was told once in a media class before we had digital social media, back when we wrote things down. And
when was that?
Notepads.
Yes, right. Remember those days?
Yeah, notepads. One of the ways that you can tell when something has become mainstream is it's used as a point of comedy in comedy routines, such as television shows, movies, Saturday Night Live type of things.
Right.
And just a couple months ago, we were watching a movie around Christmas time, and it was Alexander's Bad, Terrible, Rotten, Bad.
Day.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny family movie, and in it there's a situation where the boy, someone photoshops a picture of his head on a girl in a bikini or something and passes it around the school, and that actually, it's kind of funny when you watch it, but in real life, that's not so funny.
That's traumatizing.
Things like that can be very, very complicating. But when we watched that, I thought to myself at the time, wow, if it's this is a mainstream Hollywood, Pixar, whoever, Warner Brothers movie, and it's now being kind of made fun of, if things get to the point that they become a comedy routine, they're mainstream. They're a big issue.
Come to the forefront. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I saw a story a couple of weeks ago, and this actually happened. There was a teenage girl that texted a young man, and just over and over about it. You should just end it all. You really should. Nobody really. And it was every day, hour on the hour. So he did.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it's gotten to that point that cyberbullying can be that powerful.
Well, it's non-stop. Like, I think we've talked about this, that at least when we got bullied at 315, in that frame of reference, it's done. You may have some more in the neighborhood, but it changed. This is 24/7, and there's been a lot of documentaries done where it's that constant slow burn pressure that builds and builds. And a lot of the laws have not caught up with basically the parameter of the internet, so there is no other basically avenues of address, if you will.
There's a technical problem there, because what's happened is the technology is advancing at a rate way faster than the legislative process works.
Absolutely.
So even when they do introduce laws, by the time the laws go into effect, that technology is obsolete last year.
Well, and
that's part of the problem.
I want to say it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, there was that huge case that they're still using now as a precedent setter where and forgive me for not having the exacts of it, but the gist of it was, in the same little neighborhood, there was these two girls. They were both cheerleaders. Apparently, the mother, one girl got a position over her daughter, and so she set up a fake Facebook of some kind. Started basically friending the girl with some boy. Played it up that he really liked her. Got the whole emotion thing going, and then turned on her. You're worthless. Blah blah blah. Get rid of yourself, etc. And this the whole time is the mother, who has been jealous because her daughter didn't get the position this girl did that she had earned, and the other parents come home and find out that basically, who again lived in the same little neighborhood, and she had hung herself. But this was a slow progression that it happened over a course of time of 2 months or so forth. That finally built up, got her up, and then slammed her. And to the end, she never knew that it wasn't this boy that she was all into that was the whole time being contrived. Well, the best they could do at that time was she couldn't be held accountable. It was I'm trying to think of the exact term they used, but it was something about. It wasn't even stalking. They used some kind of aggravated assault at best, and it wasn't even that. So it was like a misdemeanor. They could only hold.
It didn't really fit into a category.
It did not, and that was the thing. They were going, wow. So that's
even though everyone knows socially and ethically, it's
it was like,
unacceptable.
And I'm sorry, the term escapes me. It was just like you've had bad solicitation. It was something that was really so low end that there was a big movement at that point where they started people coming in behind the scenes, different lawyers trying to figure out how to framework this because they're like, this is a travesty. But
that's coming down the road. A lot.
It is some of the unknown is what's so hard to deal with. And you see Johnny pushing in the lunchroom or somebody beating up somebody every day on the playground. You can see that. But is it the cyberbullying? The part is the unknown that people can't see. That's done after hours, and everybody has one of these now.
Yeah.
And at home in your room by yourself, is that what part of the hard part?
It is part of the hard. It is the hard part because you can't always figure out who it really is. Right? It's so easy to put up a fake
name,
Facebook profile, Twitter profile, whatever, and you can put them up, take them down, and you can change them all the time. And so you don't really know how many people might be bothering you. Could be one person who's created 20 fake profiles on different social media services.
This is so common that people don't realize. I saw an article the other day about digital kidnapping, and I said, what?
Oh, yeah.
It's people who take photographs off of websites, like you put your kids' pictures on Facebook of you doing something. The next thing you know, you find someone else's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and here's a picture of your child, and they're claiming it's their child, and they're using your pictures of your children for whatever reasons and nefarious purpose. And how do you stop that? It is out there.
Yep.
It's out of control.
And you have this being anonymous, if you will. You and I, we all know very simply, if we're sitting here face to face, your typical social protocol of how we deal with it and address each other has a lot more control in it. When you're behind the scenes in the dark with another screen with a different name and a different face and so forth, people can let all kinds of just venomous stuff and wickedness out that would never even say, and probably wouldn't ever in their lives to someone else, but built it up and decided, hey, I'm gonna channel on this person because it was the day and I didn't like that picture, that poster, or so forth. And they want to know what I think. Well, here's what I think, and all of a sudden now it just takes on its own life.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
And you can't unring that bell once it is out there too.
That's right.
So on this next book, are you mostly targeting parents more than anything, since this is probably after school type?
It's directed towards parents, and really what it does is teach them how to gather the information. I created what I call a information capture system.
Sure.
And it's pretty simple. I tried not to make it a real how-to manual. I created videos and other things. If somebody was really struggling, they could buy that part. But I tried to explain it in there. on how to get information off your cell phone, how to get pictures off your cell phone, text, whatever, by taking screenshots and labeling it with time and date stamps and putting it on, creating a file on your computer desktop and just funneling any information that comes in into that file so you have it all in one spot, and then you can actually take that, open it up, look at it, and take down all the pertinent information, fill out the form, and you've got a digital file of everything that came in, you've got a written form of everything in a chronological order, etc., that if you need to go to the police department, you can say, this
This is
person
what happened.
Concise case file, right.
And then you've still got it. So I'm not a digital guru by any means, but you could go to somebody who's really cybersecurity. You know, that's a
Savvy.
that's a totally different animal, right?
Absolutely.
You go to someone who's a cybersecurity expert, they can start working to backtrack that for you.
Yep.
You know, law enforcement, those guys, they have
Check those IP
cyber
addresses,
crimes
where it really
divisions
came
and that
from,
kind of
right.
stuff. That's way beyond the
Yeah.
average person. You know,
Great.
It's over my pay grade, I promise.
Amen.
So it gives you the ability to be able to put that together in a rational order, and it's not so complicated that you can't figure out how to do it. Because a lot of people, they don't know how to use everything on their cell phone, right?
Yeah.
Well, and you think that those, if you have to go to that stage of law enforcement, you've given them a concise what to start from. So they know, number one, that you're basically, you have the information, they know it's something to be taken serious, and you've already done part of their job for them and set them up for success.
Absolutely.
So they can help you in the manner in which they'd want to.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about the upcoming weekend. This is Good Morning Lake Martin.